Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jake, the Scary Story Guy, and today we are talking to the hand, because the face ain't listening. Talk to Me is an Australian horror film about a group of teenagers who encounter this embalmed severed hand that enables them to become possessed by spirits. Essentially, they just shake the hand, say, "Talk to me," and yeah, the spirits talk to them. And supposedly this is all very safe as long as they're only possessed for 90 seconds or less. Now, I've often complained that movies get teenagers wrong. It's as if the screenwriters forgot what it was like to be a teenager that was so long ago, and so they've forgotten how teenagers speak and think and act. However, the teenagers in Talk to Me do exactly what one might expect teenagers to do in this situation. They turn it into a party game and film it all on their phones. Now, you may be asking yourself, why would someone subject themselves to this? Watching it, I understand. Obviously, we bought tickets to the movie, so we understand that. But why would someone actually allow themselves to become possessed by this hand? And the answer is something which I think is one of the more creative concepts I've seen in a horror film recently, which is the idea that getting possessed when you touch this hand is a lot like getting high. It's something supposed to be enjoyable or pleasurable. And that's sort of the big symbolism of the movie, is these kids treating this demonic possession just like they do drugs, you know, using it to cope with negative emotions. It's very obvious the whole time what they're doing is stupid and reckless and dangerous, but they do it anyway because the high is worth it. And usually in horror movies, you're just begging the characters to act normal. Just act like a normal person. Like, why would you guys split up here? Why would you go down into the basement when you just heard? Why are you reading the Latin from a book bound in what looks like human flesh? What are you thinking? But in Talk to Me, the answer to why these characters are taking all these supernatural risks is actually as easy to understand as the why people do drugs, right? And that's a fascinating angle for a horror movie to take, in my view. Of course, these kids might also be willing to take the risk because they're from Australia, so, you know, they're used to pouring monster movie-sized spiders out of their fucking breakfast cereal boxes. You might imagine they're made of sterner stuff than we are. But guys, seriously, I've got to say, I really, really liked Talk to Me. This is the freshest and most original horror film I've seen in quite some time, not to mention one of the scariest. And it's not scary like so Evil Dead Rise, there's just like an hour straight of non-stop scares and jump scares and gore and creepy shit. This movie has a lot of subtlety and character development, like somber conversations, but that all serves to make the moments that are intense even more so. Now, prior to Talk to Me, I probably would have said that Scream 6 and Evil Dead Rise, two franchise films, were the best horror films of the year. I thought they were basically everything you could want from their respective franchises, and both possibly even the best movies in their franchises. But I've got to say, in this brave new world of IP, it just feels so refreshing to find a movie this original. I mean, teenagers messing around with supernatural forces, granted, we're not exactly breaking new ground with that premise, but this is absolutely not your standard stupid teenager horror movie. This is both quite a thoughtful movie and also unafraid to push those limits of like, damn, I can't believe they just showed that. Like, I can't believe that just happened. Because a lot of these teenager-based horror movies really do carry this sense of like, oh, this isn't scary, this is spooky, there's a bit of lightheartedness to it. Not so with Talk to Me. This is a very bleak and pessimistic film in many ways, not exactly kind to its characters. It actually reminded me a lot of Drag Me to Hell, the Sam Raimi film that came out a few years ago. 2009. Holy shit. 14 years ago. That's gross. But I don't know, it just reminded me of that in terms of like maybe the taste it puts in your mouth. That might be the best way to say it. But yeah, I've been happy to see it's not just me that has a high opinion of this. It's currently sitting at 95% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I believe a 7.5 on IMDb, which is fantastic for a horror film. Now, it's not perfect. The sound mixing stood out to me as something that actually could have used some work. There aren't a lot of jump scares in this in the traditional sense, but there are some noises that are so sudden and loud and just frankly exaggerated that they made me jump, because it's like, wait, what just happened should not have been even half that loud. Near the beginning, there's a scene where a character gets hit by a pillow, and it sounds like she got hit by a fucking school bus. I also thought some of the editing was choppy. There were some really jarring cuts, especially when things were getting like intense in a supernatural way. Almost like the filmmakers weren't confident enough in any one of their shots, that it wasn't up to snuff or something, so they were just like bouncing you from shot to shot really quickly, so you couldn't look at anything for too long. But yeah, apparently this movie was made by first-time directors, plural. They're brothers, Danny and Michael Philippou. I'm sure I'm butchering that, but they got their start on YouTube, kind of making like short films just for that platform. And then this is the first thing they've done that's got a wide release. Apparently, they were both part of the crew on The Babadook, which is probably the best horror film to ever come out of Australia. So, you know, I'll forgive a few strange choices in the filmmaking, because for a first effort, this is absolutely outstanding, and I desperately hope these guys keep it up. I heard that one of them just finished up a script for a new horror film called Bring Her Back, so based on what I just saw, I will be anxiously awaiting that. Guys, Talk to Me is just a really good horror film that totally blew my expectations out of the water. I mean, we'll see if anything beats it this year, but for now, it's in my top spot. It is genuinely frightening, and it's really original, and I just had a great time watching it. And I'm going to give Talk to Me a solid 4 stars out of 5. Alright, as always, stay tuned for more spooky content coming soon. A Dracula movie called The Last Voyage of the Demeter is coming out. We'll see what I think about that. But in the meantime, thank you for watching my video, and here's hoping you survive to see the next one.